Okay, starting in 3, 2 and 1. Well, Vinny, it finished 3-0 to Liverpool at Elland Road against Leeds United. It was one of those matches I think people were expecting goals. We thought maybe Leeds might put up a bit more of a fight, but to concentrate on the home team first, it was a bit disappointing, maybe the marking at set pieces. As you were talking to Will after the game, on off the ball, just the space that they were leaving in behind. You know, we saw Sadio Mane getting a lot of chances that he fluffed before eventually getting that goal in added time. So is that down to just start of the season? You know, a lot of those players have been there for a while now with Leeds United, so there's only one or two that they're trying to get back into or trying to gel with the rest of that team. So what are you looking at the issues for Leeds now?
Yeah, I think it's Phillips in front of the back four. They play that 4-1-4-1 formation quite a lot. So when I watched them against Manchester United earlier on in the season, Fernandes had a huge impact on the game, and Paul Pogba came in. He played on the left in that game, played into that narrow position, and Phillips was looking after two, and he's an outstanding player. But that Liverpool caused them the same problems. It was Harvey Elliott in one side, and at different stages it was Jota dropping in, or Mane, etc. So they just looked so open in the transition from when they were attacking to defend, and Liverpool just ran straight through in the middle of them. So they've got systems error, looks like, from the outside looking in. They've shipped 5 goals against Manchester United, 2 against Everton, 3 against today. So they look just too open. And they've got some good players, so it's surprising. Some of the players like Harrison done really well, Rafinha out wide, really good player. Bamford, as we all know, is a good player. Phillips.
Rodrigo wasn't bad as well.
Rodrigo had a big chance as well, the first chance of the game. So, look, they have a lot of really talented players, but it looks like that sort of system is leaving them vulnerable to counter-attacks, and they're just conceding too many goals. And we called it before the game. Liverpool 11 corners today, and I think they got their head on maybe 7 of the corners, and the defending has been poor. It's been poor for a long time. There's something they need to work on, and ultimately Liverpool got the second goal and the decisive one from a corner, so it's been poor for them defensively. And I'd have concerns about Leeds, but they are capable of going and beating someone next week 4-0, 4-3, 4-2, but I would have real concerns about this Leeds side.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to focus maybe too much on one player, but I'm looking at Liam Cooper. I'm seeing getting beaten a couple of times at set pieces, at corner kicks by Van Dijk. I know he's a couple of inches smaller, but he's a fella who has been a regular starter for Leeds. And then you see Scotland go play international matches, and he's not always an automatic pick. He only started one game against the Czech Republic. So maybe we see from today's game why he's not trusted by his international manager.
Yeah, he got booked early as well, which doesn't help against a strike force of Mane, Salah and Jota. He got rolled too easily, but he got booked because he got rolled too easy. He went into a bad position. Llorente is a good player beside him, and I think Ayling is very good as well. So that's what I'm saying. Leeds have good players, just structurally look like they're wrong. And to be fair to Cooper, when you've people running at you from different angles, it doesn't help. But defensively, he's lost a couple of headers today, and you need a strong centre half in this league. Unless no matter who you are, you need to win your headers from corners, and they'll have tougher tests from set pieces than Liverpool. Your Burnley, your Brightons, etc. And I would fear for them a little bit. I think they'll be okay. I think they've got enough good players, but it'd be terrible of me to question Bielsa. What a wonderful coach and a genius, they all say, but structurally they look really open and they look vulnerable to conceding a lot of goals, and they've shipped too many goals already this season, albeit they've had to play 2 top sides, Liverpool and Manchester United, but they look vulnerable to conceding a lot of goals, and I'd be worried for them.
Junior Firpo does look like a good signing though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he went toe to toe with Mane, and again that's the structure of the team. With Salah, he went toe to toe with Salah, and Salah was excellent, I thought, in the first 60-70 minutes, and the two of them had a real battle, but they were getting overrun on that side. Trent Alexander was joining in, and sometimes they let Harrison, what they called cheat, stay up high, and if Leeds win the ball back, they go to Harrison, but it never worked. They never turned the ball over enough, and Trent Alexander and to be fair, Harvey Elliott playing in that sort of right channel as well really hurt him down that side, and that's where the first goal came from. Matip stepped into that right channel from centre half position. Salah bounced the ball in, and Trent, great cross, and brilliant finish from Salah. So it is concerning. For if I was a Leeds fan, I'd be worried about that. So as I said, a lot of good players, but you've got to stop shipping goals.
Yeah, they've got just 2 points so far on the board this season, but some favourable fixtures coming up for them. They're away to Newcastle United in their next match before they play in the EFL Cup against Fulham. Then they're home to West Ham, home to Watford, away to Southampton, home to Wolves. So real opportunity there for Leeds to pick up points over the next few weeks. They'll have to do so quickly. They're just above the relegation spots there. Liverpool, on the other hand, are up to third place now and level on 10 points with Chelsea and Manchester United. Let's just start with the injury first, because it really has cast a shadow over what is a positive result for Liverpool. 18-year-old Harvey Elliott fell by Pascal Struijk after 60 minutes. It looks like a really bad injury. At the time I'm speaking to you now, we don't know what the prognosis is, but he's been such a good player for Liverpool. He looks so mature beyond his years. That loan spell with Blackburn has served him really well, and it's such a disappointment, such a blow for Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, it's a huge blow. I think even in the game today, after 66 minutes, the game was over once that injury happened. The whole tempo went out of the game. It looks a really bad one. I haven't seen it back on video, and I probably don't want to. Once you see an ankle dangling, there's obviously something not connected. So when you look at it very similar in one sense to the Dara O'Shea injury, who's gone for 6 months, and this probably looks a little bit worse. Because Dara was able to stand up and walk off. So this looks a lot worse. So it looks like a long term injury. Hopefully he gets a bit of luck, and it's not, but it looks it. And I think Liverpool, when they get the very best players on the pitch, they're as good as anybody, but they don't have a huge strength and depth in that squad at times, and in them sort of areas, in the midfield areas. And Elliott took his chance. He got his chance, and he took it, and he's been excellent. He's been outstanding for them. He was brilliant today. He looks way above his age of 18, and he looks like he's going to be the next star. So I hope he gets through this injury. But it is a blow from Liverpool, because Keita hasn't done it yet. It's a big season for him. Oxlade-Chamberlain looks short now since his bad injury, has never really recovered from that, and he just, without Wijnaldum, they look short. Henderson is sort of struggling with injuries at different stages, so it's a worry for Liverpool, but I think when you get the best players on the pitch, they'd be very good, and it was a perfect away performance from them today. Yeah,
Henderson signing a new deal last week, which was interesting. I felt over the first couple of games of the season he looked a bit lethargic, maybe not sharp and at his best. He did okay off the bench though today, but he was dropped to the bench in favour of Thiago. What did you make of that switch, and is that going to be maybe a continuous battle we'll see throughout the season, Thiago versus Henderson for that starting place?
Yeah, I was surprised by that away from Leeds. You would expect Henderson came in and given that running power that Thiago doesn't have, but I suppose Thiago not getting into the Spain squad that time probably helped. He was in around the training ground and Henderson was away, so probably felt that Thiago was a bit fresher. He done really well today. He's obviously got an amazing passing range, particularly against packed defences. That's why they brought him to the club. So he done really well today. Henderson, Fabinho and Thiago would be a good combination, to be fair, for Liverpool going forward, but it's about keeping everyone fit. And so look, I thought Thiago was very good. I think Henderson had picked up a lot of niggles. He had a difficult summer with England in terms of getting himself fit, and that obviously dragged on. But you compare that to Van Dijk, who took the summer off to get himself ready for the start of the season. I think Henderson would have been better served to do that from a Liverpool perspective, but there was no way he was going to pass up playing for England in the European Championship. So look, they need a little bit of luck to go the way in terms of injuries in midfield, because they're not blessed with huge options. That's what I would say.
The thing about Liverpool is, before that dreadful injury to Harvey Elliott, they were the better team. They played fantastically well, and in fact we felt they probably should have been up by maybe 4, even 5 goals at that stage. It was just the finishing. Sadio Mane in particular. Salah had some chances as well, but I suppose overall Klopp will be happy, because that's stuff that can be fixed. Once your team is dominating the play, he'll be happy enough.
Yeah, I suppose, I thought Jota was very quiet today. Andy Robertson was quiet, and I still think the two centre halves are just finding their feet, Matip and Van Dijk, but they were excellent, but just finding their feet in terms of they're vulnerable, I would say, at the moment, with a little bit of pace in behind them, just as they get back the rhythm of playing together. So from that perspective, keeping a clean sheet's great from him. He would have left Mane on, I would suggest, because you had such a poor game in terms of his finishing, and in the hope that he would have scored, and ultimately did late in the game, which is good for his confidence. So the good thing for Liverpool is positive away performance, clean sheet, and it's getting game time into people. But there's no doubt that the international window makes it difficult for these top clubs. Robertson being away with Scotland for argument's sake, and he's not going to be fresh coming into the team, and that's where I would question Liverpool's strength and depth over Chelsea's and Man City.
Yeah, they got AC Milan in the Champions League, of course, this week. We saw Patrick Bamford cutting through the two centre backs. You know, we're looking at Olivier Giroud and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Probably not going to give Van Dijk the amount of problems. Yeah, they don't have that pace. But I'm looking at Crystal Palace maybe in the next Premier League match. Hudson Edouard coming off the bench for them, scoring 2 goals in 9 minutes. So I'm sure there will be opposition managers watching the two centre backs carefully. As you say, they're still kind of maybe trying to gel together after such a long time out. But that is maybe an area where Klopp needs to sort out.
Yeah, I think particularly for sort of 25 minutes, I think Bamford got in 2 or 3 times. Once just didn't control it, and a couple of times created half chances. He got in behind for the chance for Rodrigo. So listen, I think 7-8 games in, I think the two of them are as good as anything that's in the Premiership together as a combination. It's whether you can keep Matip fit in particular. But if they don't have, they've got real options on the bench. So they've really strengthened the sort of defensive options. The concern is a little bit higher up the pitch. So difficult for them. Does he freshen it up with one of the centre halves against AC Milan? Maybe leave Matip out. Probably will, I would suggest. And Henderson, hasn't played for that long, will come into the team. So they have got options, just not enough, and not of the same quality, I would say, as other teams, as in Chelsea and Man City. That's the big area for them to improve on. But once you get the best 11 on the pitch, they're as good as anybody. And they showed signs of that today, to be fair to them. And a lot of the play really good. And if Liverpool had won 5-0 today, I don't think it would have flattered them in any way, shape or form.
And just finally on them, Sadio Mane, some people maybe said last season that he was not playing at his best. Today we saw him again, not at his best. Now he's got 2 goals, obviously he scored an added time, but before that he had a lot of chances, and it just seems to be his first touch. Seems to be a bit of a hesitation in the box where we normally expect Sadio Mane, who's such a brilliant player, to be really sharp and getting those shots off much quicker. So how as a manager does Jurgen Klopp address that? Yeah,
I think obviously the goal at the end will help put him in, but you knew boy, there was a right smile there was a little puff of his cheeks, and he knows he should have scored more today. You can see it, and that smile has gone off his face a little bit, and it just there's a little bit of confidence, and he loses that hesitancy in front of the goal. And you can do as many shooting drills as you want. You'd imagine in shooting drills and training he's scoring goals for fun, he's hitting target all day long, but ultimately match day is completely different. And once you go on a run of goals, he scored against Crystal Palace, he scored again today, and in 5 or 6 weeks time, if he's got another 3-4 goals, you will only see it on 7-8 goals scored in so far in this season. So he'll get through it, and that's why you leave him on the pitch, ultimately hoping he will score.
Just to move on then to just the table overall, because Chelsea had another good win last night. Lukaku, he's going to prove to be a brilliant signing for them. As we know, he'll probably hit 25-30 goals, helping Chelsea to beat Aston Villa. Manchester United welcome back Ronaldo. He bags a couple of goals as well. And it is interesting to note those top 4 sides. Manchester United at the top, Chelsea second, Liverpool third, City fourth. Second, third and fourth, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, all have only conceded 1 goal as well. That's really one of the key ingredients, isn't it? Once you've got a good defence, you've got every chance of winning a title. Yeah,
I also think that. I think the top 4, albeit they've all had a good start, I think they're way ahead of everybody this year. I think that's the difference. I think Liverpool look close to back to their best in terms of the starting 11. City obviously champions, and then what Chelsea have done under Tuchel has been remarkable, a turnaround them, and the real strength and depth in their squad is just he seems to make changes at will, and it doesn't weaken them. And then obviously Ronaldo will give United a huge shot in the arm. Obviously Jordan Sancho as well coming in, and they've signed 3 or 4 big players. So it looks like the top 4 will be there and thereabouts. It doesn't look like we'll have a year where somebody breaks into that, or it certainly won't be. I don't think it'll be title race with just 2 teams. I think there'll be 4 thereabouts. I'd expect Man United, if anyone, to fall off from it. I'm just not sure defensively they're going to be good enough. That we'll see over the next number of weeks. But next number of months. But it looks like it's going to be an exciting title race. But I really like the look of Chelsea at the moment, and I like the look of what Tuchel is doing since he's gone into the club. He looks sensational as a coach, and they're a joy to watch. And for me, they're the ones that I look forward to seeing most at the moment. So it would be interesting to see how they go over the next number of weeks.
And Ronaldo, no surprise to see him slotting back in straight away. No problem scoring 2 goals at Old Trafford. You weren't surprised to see that happen so quickly?
No shock at all. And he was gifted the first one, which helped him. But look, there's no doubt Ronaldo will definitely break 20 goals this year in the Premiership. So Man United need someone to do that for them. It's about the harmony in the squad now. How does he keep all the others happy? Whether it's Martial, whether it's Rashford, Sancho, Greenwood, and Cavani. But it's great options to have for the manager, and I think they were short of that. I still think they're short of. It'll be interesting to see how Maguire and Varane get on, but I still think that defensive midfielder position hasn't been fixed, and they will be vulnerable at different stages away from home in particular. They've got to rectify that, but they've definitely made improvements this year.
Yeah, I think Varane's been putting out a lot of fires already in his early games for Manchester United. Just to finish off then, Vinny, because it's been a good week for young Irish players, I wanted to ask you about 3 lads in particular, but starting off with Gavin Bazunu and Andrew Omobamidele, who made his debut yesterday for Norwich City against Arsenal. Daniel Farke, his Norwich boss, was very happy with the performance afterwards, spoke very well of Andrew after that game. And then as well, Gavin Bazunu going out and playing for Portsmouth, whom he's on loan with from Manchester City, and putting on an excellent performance, pulling off a string of saves against MK Dons, and in particular his Irish teammate Troy Parrott. As somebody who wants to see these Irish players doing well, they're the kind of reactions you want to see, because it's easy for young lads like that maybe to get carried away after a good international performance with your senior team, and then to maybe forget about, or your head's in the clouds, you go back to your club. But the 2 lads have reacted well. Yeah,
and I think what coaches look for in particular is players who back it up, have the high moments and have the big days going their way. And I'm sure about Andrew and Gavin would have went back to their clubs like buzzing. Yeah, they would have liked the results better, but buzzing in great form and different things. And then the manager waits to see, can they back it up? Can they back it up and do it again? And both of them did, to be fair, over the weekend. And Gio's positive. There's been a lot of noise around the Irish team, as we know, rightly or wrongly, but the development of some of the young players coming through, and I know he didn't get some game time, but the Adam Ida's performance as well has been outstanding. I felt the third match was a game too far from, unfortunately, showed a little bit of inexperience, but some of our young players, but the 2 you mentioned, Adam and Gavin, have been outstanding. They look real stars for the future. Really, it just shows you where Adam came from. He came from Leeds United, and just it doesn't have to be the traditional ways, the big clubs. He's come there, and it's been a roller coaster ride from. He has it all in front of him, and if he can stay in the Norwich team, he could be a real star. Not just in Irish football, but he could take the Premiership by storm, I feel, and he has all attributes about him. So brave on the ball, and that's the modern player we're developing now. People who are brave on the ball, starting to come through, and some of his passing range is excellent. And he was very good by all accounts yesterday as well, and I think the future's bright in that sense.
Do you think Gavin Bazunu could, now, he's still only 18, so there's still a while to go in his development, and Ederson signed a new contract with Manchester City last week for 5 years, so he's going to be around for a while. He's still only 28 himself, so there's a bit of time there yet. But could Gavin Bazunu, does he have the potential and the ability to be a goalkeeper at a top Premier League club like Man City or whoever else the case may be, Liverpool, Man United?
He does. I don't generally go to Ireland games. Just have never been a fan of going to them in the Aviva. I go to a lot of their away games, but over the years. But just watching him live in the last couple of weeks was, you could see he's a player of a level above what it takes, and it is interesting. Man City will have taken note of what he's done in the last 2 or 3 weeks. They will definitely take a note. What we don't want them to do is recalled as a backup keeper. The longer he can play now that he's in his rhythm, the better. Look, he's trying to get into a team with one of the best goalkeepers in the world. The same with Keevan at Liverpool. It's a really difficult situation for both of them. But there's definitely a Premiership goalkeeper in Gavin Bazunu. There's just absolutely no doubt about it. He needs to continue to do what he's doing, and that's why it's important that he backs it up with another great performance against MK Dons, which isn't the glamour toy, and that's the key to it. That's what Man City will be probably watching. Does he go and do it? Does he go and do his job the following week? They not necessarily won't care about his performance against Serbia. They'll be thinking, can he do it now? Can he back it up? Is it just a one-off? And because we've seen players have one-offs and big windows at different stages, but once you go out and back it up with another good performance, which he's done, tells you there's a proper player there, and I think we've a real star on our hands.
And to ask you finally about a man that you would know very well, who has been putting in some excellent performances for Brighton in the Premier League 2. He got his first under-21 start during the week. Evan Ferguson, of course, who went from Bohemians to Brighton. You know, a lot of people say that Premier League 2 it's very hard to judge the standard of players because you're not always going to get that kind of intensity that you get in senior men's football, which is why we see many players playing in the League of Ireland to get that experience playing senior men's football. So it is easy for fans to get carried away, and there is Brighton fans saying that he could be their first, or their youngest, I should say, Premier League debutant, Evan Ferguson. How realistic do you think are his chance of making a Premier League debut this season at just 16 years of age?
Yeah, look, I'd be reluctant to answer that because he'd probably text me something smart if I say anything about him playing in the Premier. What I will say about Evan is that what he's done over the last couple of weeks is, again, I use that example of following up. He played for the first team for Brighton, came off the bench, and 4 days later he travelled with the 23s and he scored against Liverpool. And then he got his Ireland under-21 debut, and I know that meant a lot to him and his father and his whole family. That meant a huge amount, and I'm very proud of it. Even his English mother meant a lot to them. But then he went back to his club and he scored again, and that's all you can do as a young player. And that's where I know Gary Dicker, the Irish lad, is there as part of the 23 management setup, and I know Gary will look after him. But that's where, as a coach, you will really notice what Evan has done. It's not coming off the bench for the first team. It's coming back, playing at your own age group. Even he's only 16, but with the 23s, scoring against Liverpool, going away with the Irish 21 team, doing so well, being on a real high, and then coming back and scoring a goal again for your league team. So that's what it's all about. And as long as he keeps doing that, the rest will look after itself. And such a level-headed guy, such a level-headed family, that there'll be no overreaction to what he's achieving at the moment. He'll just get on with it. He'll do his business right, and if he gets above himself, he'll be hearing from me and a few other people very, very quickly. So, but I don't see him doing that anytime soon. I don't see the need to send him a text anytime soon. So I just listen. He's just a wonderful person, and is a great kid. Physically, he's ready for that 23 football. I've had a couple of puncher matches with him. He's well able to look after himself at 16, and he was at 13, to be fair. He was at 14 when he made his debut for Bow. So look, first of all, we've got a great person. Whether he's going to be good footballer or not, that will time will tell. So he comes from good stock as well, proper family who are steeped in League of Ireland history, and his father and mother's done well there in that one.
Of course, scored against Chelsea for Bohemians in that game at Stadium Park. Perhaps you'll get to do it again in the Premier League. We shall see. Thanks very much for now, Vinny.